defense firm Saab wants Canada to buy and build its fighter jets. The firm is pitching a partnership with Bombardier and promising to create up to 10,000 jobs along with it. This comes after Prime Minister Mark Carney ordered a review of Canada's F-35 contract with U.S. firm Lockheed.
The matter of Canada's future jet fighters now, Ottawa looking at the industrial benefits that any future investment would create for this country. A key consideration as the federal government considers buying the Swedish Gripen fighter designed by Saab versus a deeper investment into the Lockheed Martin F-35.
Saab and seemingly the government of Sweden and maybe even the royal family tried to get Canada to purchase their Gripen fighter.
Canada just made a move that most people didn't even notice, but NATO absolutely did. Quietly, without flashy press conferences or dramatic speeches, Ottawa positioned itself at the very heart of NATO's future air power. And the key to this shift lies in an unexpected place: a Rolls-Royce engine factory in Montreal and Sweden's Gripen fighter jet. On the surface, this looks like just another industrial project. A factory, some engines, a few contracts. But look closer, and this single decision could reshape NATO's balance of power, redefine who really controls alliance air capability, and even challenge long-standing US dominance in Western military aviation. So the real question isn't, is Canada building Gripen engines? The real question is, has Canada just taken control of NATO's future? To understand how massive this move is, we first need to understand what NATO's biggest problem actually is right now. For decades, NATO's air power strategy revolved around one assumption: the United States would always be there. American jets, American logistics, American spare parts, American political approval. From the F-16 to the F-15 to the F-35, NATO air forces became deeply dependent on US systems. That dependency worked until geopolitics changed. Today, NATO faces three brutal realities at the same time. First, modern air wars consume aircraft and spare parts at a rate never seen before. Ukraine proved that airframes, engines, and munitions are not endless. Industrial capacity matters more than stealth brochures. Second, many NATO countries are discovering that owning an aircraft does not mean controlling it. Software locks, export restrictions, mission approvals, and supply chain bottlenecks mean real sovereignty is limited. And third, the F-35, NATO's supposed universal solution, is expensive, complex, and heavily centralized around US control. That's where Sweden's Gripen enters the picture. The Gripen was never meant to dominate headlines. It was designed for survival, dispersed basing, fast turnaround, low operating cost, high availability, and most importantly, national control. Unlike most Western fighters, the Gripen is built around the idea that a country should be able to operate, upgrade, arm, and maintain the aircraft without asking permission from anyone else. That philosophy is exactly why Gripen has suddenly become extremely attractive again, especially for countries that want NATO protection without total dependency on Washington. Now enter Canada. For years, Canada was seen as a secondary air power player inside NATO. Yes, it flew CF-18S. Yes, it joined missions, but it never shaped alliance air strategy. That role belonged to the US, the UK, France, and occasionally Germany. That status just changed. Rolls-Royce's Montreal facility is not just any factory. It is one of Canada's most advanced aerospace hubs, deeply integrated into global jet engine manufacturing. When this facility is positioned to support Gripen engines, specifically variants of the EJ200 family, something strategic happens. Engines are the heart of air power. You can have airframes, you can have pilots, but without engines, you have grounded aircraft. And whoever controls engine production, maintenance, and overhaul controls operational tempo. By hosting Gripen engine manufacturing and support inside Canada, NATO gains something it desperately needs: a secure, non-US, non-European, bottleneck-free engine hub. This is where the story turns from industrial cooperation into strategic power shift. Canada is uniquely positioned. It is politically stable, industrially advanced, deeply trusted by NATO members, and unlike European states, it is geographically shielded from direct conflict. If Gripen operators across NATO, current and future, rely on Canadian engine support, Canada becomes indispensable. Not loud, not flashy, but absolutely critical. Think about what this means in a crisis. If supply chains to Europe are disrupted, Canada is still running. If US priorities shift to the Pacific, Canada is still supporting Europe. If political disagreements freeze exports elsewhere, Canada remains neutral ground. That is not just manufacturing power. That is strategic leverage. Now zoom out even further. The Gripen is not just another fighter. It is rapidly becoming NATO's alternative path. Countries that cannot afford the F-35, countries that do not want US software control, countries that need fast availability rather than perfect stealth. As more Gripen users emerge, the engine ecosystem becomes more important than the jet itself. And Canada sits right in the middle of that ecosystem. This is where NATO's internal power dynamics start to shift. For decades, the US dictated interoperability by hardware dominance. Fly American jets, use American weapons, rely on American logistics. But Gripen breaks that monopoly. With Canadian-based engine production, NATO suddenly has a parallel air power backbone. One that is Western, compatible, but not controlled by Washington. That does not weaken NATO. It actually strengthens it, because redundancy is power, and power that is shared is harder to disrupt. Now let's talk about Rolls-Royce, because this part matters more than people realize. Rolls-Royce is not just an engine manufacturer. It is one of the most politically trusted defense companies in the Western world. Its engines power everything from Eurofighters to transport aircraft to naval systems. By anchoring Gripen engine work inside a Rolls-Royce Canadian facility, NATO ensures standardization, reliability, and political insulation. This also means something else. Gripen engines are no longer small nation dependent. They are backed by a global aerospace giant operating on NATO soil. That changes perception, that changes confidence, and that changes procurement decisions. Now ask yourself, why Montreal? Because Canada already has one of the world's most skilled aerospace labor forces, because it has existing infrastructure, and because Canada has something rare, credibility without ambition. Canada doesn't seek dominance. That makes others comfortable depending on it. And in NATO, trust is more valuable than raw power. The result? Canada quietly becomes the backbone of NATO's alternative fighter ecosystem, not commanding fleets, not issuing orders, but enabling everyone. That is real influence. This also puts subtle pressure on the F-35 program. Not because Gripen replaces it, but because it offers choice. Choice means leverage. Leverage means negotiation. Negotiation means NATO countries are no longer locked into a single path, and that forces competition. Competition lowers costs. Competition improves availability. Competition strengthens alliances. Ironically, Canada's move may end up saving NATO billions. There's another angle most people miss. Training. Engine hubs are not just about maintenance. They become centers of expertise. Engineers, technicians, instructors, and logistics planners all rotate through these facilities. Over time, Montreal becomes a knowledge node. That means Canadian standards, procedures, and timelines influence NATO operations indirectly. Again, not dominance, but influence. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Did Canada take control of NATO? Not in the way empires do, but in the way systems do. Modern power isn't about flags or speeches. It's about who controls the flow of parts, data, fuel, and maintenance when it matters most. And with Gripen engine production anchored in Canada, NATO's air power flow just gained a new center of gravity. One that is stable, one that is trusted, one that is very hard to replace. The smartest moves in history are often the quiet ones. No dramatic announcements, no bold declarations, just positioning. And Canada just positioned itself exactly where NATO cannot afford to lose it. So the next time you hear someone say Canada is a minor player in NATO, remember this. When jets are grounded, engines decide wars, and Canada now holds the keys to one of NATO's most important engines of the future. Not by force, not by politics, but by precision. And that might be the most powerful move of all.